because I do see a lot of from your bed to crib in 1 week videos, and that's all well and good. That was not our journey. So I'm gonna give you the real tea on how we got our baby girl transition into her own crib, how it's going, and you know, my hopes for the future. Hello, my loves. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I'm Gabrielle Dejoie, and we're talking about baby sleep today. Specifically, toddler from your bed into their crib baby sleep. My little girl, from the time I started transitioning her, she was probably about like into 14 months, 15 months, and actually tomorrow she'll be 16 months old. So we're gonna get into it. It's been a journey. It's been a long time coming, and I just feel like sharing my story, sharing our journey with this, how it's going, and I'm gonna give you my tips and tricks, novice to novice, what has worked for us, and how this process has been really, because I do see a lot of from your bed to crib in 1 week videos, and that's all well and good. That was not our journey. So I'm gonna give you the real tea on how we got our baby girl transition into her own crib. If you enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel, and make sure that you are subscribed for more mommy content, new motherhood, mental health and wellness, self-care, all that good stuff, as well as spirituality. So stay tuned, stick with me, and let's get into this video. So we're gonna be talking today about how I moved my toddler from our bed, co-sleeping in our bed, to her own crib. It was a journey. It was a multi-step process, if you will. Let me start at the beginning. So our sleep journey has been interesting. It didn't start off difficult at all. And in fact, co-sleeping became something to do because it was the best thing for us. It was the best thing for my family. It was the best thing for me to get more sleep. And in fact, I got better sleep by co-sleeping with her in the beginning. So let's rewind. We've been sharing a bed with Aaliyah since she was 4 months old. I was actually really nervous to share this on my channel because obviously there's a lot of stigma around co-sleeping. There's just a lot of judgment around how you get your child to sleep in general. Once she came out of the swaddle, it was kind of like all bets were off for her to sleep independently. So for those first 4 months, my baby girl slept in this little like side sleeper. It was a bassinet created to co-sleep, but not to bed share. So she had her own little side sleeper next to us. It opened to the bed. So I was able to like quickly lift her out, put her next to me, and breastfeed, when she'd cry in the middle of the night. From 1 month old, my baby girl actually slept like 7 or 8 hours through the night consistently. So I was one of the lucky few, you could even say, that got like pretty decent sleep fairly early on. Because like up till 1 month, I was about to lose my shit. It was rough, but she did sleep 7 to 8 hours swaddled in her bassinet. She had great weight gain. She was eating all the time. We nursed on demand. Her pediatrician was like, yeah, you can let her sleep through the night. You don't have to wake her every, 4 or 5 hours. I was very grateful that she was a good sleeper off the bat. We used the Dream Baby swaddle, the Dream Baby sleep swaddle, and the Happiest Baby swaddle. So both of these we kind of used at different points. They gave her better sleep. She would sleep longer hours or was more comfortable, it seemed. When she was able to be swaddled, how I'd put her to bed was that we would do the bedtime stuff, we'd swaddle her, and then I'd lay her next to me in the bed on a swaddle, and I'd feed her like with the side laying position while she was swaddled. She'd get to sleep, and once she was like solidly asleep after a while, I'd pick her up and I'd gently put her in her own bassinet. So once the swaddle came off, this scenario did not go as smoothly. Like once the swaddle came off, I'd try to feed her to sleep and pick her up and put her in her bassinet. And as soon as my girl hit that bassinet with nothing like swaddling her and nothing holding her, she would wake up, it would be crying, and we'd have to do it all over again. And that kept happening. So the first night I was like, you know what, never mind. She's just gonna sleep in the bed with us. So she would actually sleep between me and the bassinet, okay? Because I still had the bassinet connected to the bed. And this just went on and on and on because it's what worked. Now at 4 months, I got an inkling of her starting to roll. She was always kind of going on her side, but something happened and I felt like, okay, we need to take her out of the swaddle if she's rolling, right? Because safety first. After she came out of the swaddle, all bets were off for her to sleep in her own space. So while I initially thought, you know, okay, we'll do bassinet for as long as she can fit in it, and then we will build the crib and put it in our room. We were in a different house at the time, and my plan was to have the crib in our room until probably about a year. Like I thought she would be in our room for about a year, not in our bed necessarily, but you know, stuff happens. We also didn't want to do any version of cry it out. At the time, we didn't have a nursery prepared for her, so it was like in our own room. And so for us at 4 months or 5 months or even 6 months, I think when she was under a year old, we just weren't prepared or desiring to do cry it out. It just wasn't something we wanted to try. Because I exclusively breastfed, you know, having her in the bed was actually better for my sleep. It was better for everyone involved so that she wasn't shrieking, waking up. I didn't have to like physically get up out of bed. You know, it was literally like I could pop a boob in her mouth and she was good. She would instantly go back to sleep. So having her right there, it was just a streamlined process. And like I said, it worked best for our sleep and, you know, our well-being at the time as parents and knowing that she was safe, you know, all that good stuff. So I'll just say this again, as a breastfeeding mom, I got way better sleep by co-sleeping with our baby girl. I did decide I wanted to share this largely because I feel like infant sleep is one of those kind of taboo topics. If you don't fit into the cry it out method and or if you don't want to bed share, then it's kind of like, where do you fall and who can you tell and what judgments are you going to get back, you know? I feel like you'll get a lot of mom shame for doing one or the other. And really there's a lot of different options in there. A lot of them involve loss of sleep. And not being comfortable as the parent who is primarily maybe in charge of the baby at those night hours. And just like parenting overall, there's like 1,000 different ways to do things and 1,002 ways to do things that are different and still correct, you know? So I just felt like I wanted to share our story and, you know, a little bit of how this all panned out and worked for us. If you are bed sharing and you're tired, I just want to give you encouragement that you can make the transition. It might look a little different than you expected, you know, and if it's working for you, then like keep doing what's working for you. Obviously, like I said, 1,000 different ways, 1,000 correct different ways to do things. Okay. So don't let people shame you and tell you what to do and that you're not doing something that you know is best for you and your baby. So I just want to mention that if you are a breastfeeding mom, there are actually some benefits to both co-sleeping, right? Co-sleeping, which is sleeping in the same room as your child, is actually recommended from like 6 months to the first year of the child's life. But, you know, bed sharing, there's actually a lot of benefits to bed sharing. And a lot of countries like outside of Western culture do this regularly, and it's just the way of life. Western society kind of has this ideal that like you have to move them into their crib. That is how they're safest. That is all you can do. But that's not necessarily the case. There are, of course, like guidelines to if you're going to bed share, how to do it more safely. Some of those might include not sleeping with pets, making sure that no one is smoking or drinking or intoxicated in any form. Okay, this goes into like not smoking cigarettes even. Making sure that there's not like fluffy blankets or pillows on the bed, and making sure that the baby is kind of like at a certain height for like boob access essentially. But you know, if you're a breastfeeding mom, it actually makes you more aware of your baby, like the hormones and all that stuff makes you more aware of their baby. It makes you a lighter sleeper in general. So there's a lot less worry that you might roll over or something like that because of your awareness. And if your partner, say, is sleeping in the bed with you, it's just once again making sure that nobody is intoxicated in any type of way. Bed sharing is also something that can actually help prevent SIDS, because when your baby is near you, then your heartbeat and your breath actually help to regulate their heartbeat and their breath. And so it can be less of a possibility that they will forget to take that breath. I definitely encourage you to do your own research, figure out what feels best for you, what feels safest for you, and what's going to work best for your family when it comes to infant sleep. It's a personal decision and something that, as long as you are educated about the topic, I really do believe you'll make the best decision for you and your baby. So with that out the way, I have been wanting to get Aaliyah out of our bed since she turned, probably a little bit before she turned 1 year old. If you saw my life update video, which I'll link below, you know that my dad passed on January 2nd of this year, 2022. So that whole process kind of, it put some fire under me to really move on transitioning Aaliyah into her own bed. I was kind of like in the stage of, I want to do it, I'm thinking about doing it, but I didn't actually set up the means to get it done. Like, I don't think, like, since we moved, I don't think we had put up her crib yet. So when we came back from New Orleans, because we were in New Orleans for quite a while after in the new year, we came back and I made Eric put up the crib like immediately. And I was like, we're getting her into her own bed. So just between like grief and, you know, it was really the grief that I just needed. I was touched out. I was sad. I was anxious. I just wanted like less touching in general. I needed more space. I needed more time, you know? And so I was like, I need to get this baby ideally off the boob and into her own bed. The last couple months have kind of eased that a bit, that need for like a lot more space and just like, I can't do this anymore. But it was rough. I was like, I need her in her bed now. And I really just felt like at that point, it was gonna be a better experience for all of us, because also she was still waking up like several times a night, like to breastfeed. It would definitely vary, but she would, you know, wake up between 3-4 times a night. And she was at the age where she wouldn't necessarily, it's not that she needed a feeding during the night. It was definitely just a comfort thing. The second week that we came back from New Orleans, I really did try to put her in her bed. It was interesting. What we did was we fed her, rocked her to sleep, and then put her down in her crib. Sometimes she woke up instantly, and then it was like this whole journey getting her back to bed, depending on how much she woke up. But it definitely didn't mean that I could put her back down in her crib. Like if she woke up, it was like, oof. And then the couple times that I was able to like successfully like feed her, get her to sleep, put her down without her waking up, she woke up 2 to 3 hours later. So it was a little break, you know, and it was kind of nice to like, it showed me a glimpse of what it could be, just to have some time after her bedtime to watch an adult show with my fiance, or just have some time with just me in the bed, or take a bath. Really, after those 2 to 3 hours, like when she did wake up, she ended up back in our bed, because it was just such a labor of love. First of all, getting her down at that time, like getting her into sleeping mode would take like over an hour, and then getting her like back down to sleep, it was also a thing. So she just ended up back in our bed, instead of me spending, you know, 45 minutes to an hour in the rocking chair, putting her back down, and then she wakes up again. So I was like, no, we're not doing this. So eventually I got tired of this. And some nights Eric was rocking her to sleep as well, so we would kind of trade off, but it was very much still like boob was involved in her going to sleep. So I would breastfeed her, and my hope was I could like hand her off to Eric. And sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't. But like I said, like getting her down, it's like she might still wake up when she hit the bed. So it was a thing. Anyways, I got tired of this, because I want to say like a lot of it really was on me to get her down to bed. And so after like, I think a week and a half of doing this, I was so tired, because you know, to only get 2 to 3 hours to yourself and to put in all of this work on the front end, it was just a lot. So one night I was just like, I'm too tired to do this. And I put her in our own bed and fed her to sleep. And then she stayed in our bed for another like month and a half. Okay. What I tried to do in the meantime, because I knew I was going to transition her back into her bed, but like I said, I think I was just a little like mildly traumatized by how much effort it took and how she still was waking up and it just wasn't working, you know? So what I took this time to do, even though she was still sleeping in our bed, was to start getting into a sleep routine. Now this, I want to say, changed the game. It was like I wanted her to get trained to know the cues of we're going to sleep now, this is happening, then this is happening. I'm going to show y'all what it's like, what our bedtime routine looks like in this video, and you'll get to see a little bit of how that worked. And so instead of putting her like to bed in her bed at the end, we would just lay her down and I'd put her in my bed. Along with coming up with a sleep routine, I also tried to do more naps in her crib. She was more open to taking a nap in her crib when it wasn't like nighttime. I don't know why. Maybe it was because she was more tired by the time I was putting her down. I would rock her, I would feed her to sleep, and then I would lay her down in her crib. And for the most part, she was like really good at taking her naps, slept through her nap time, and it was fine. So tried to just get her more used to the crib and being in there and just liking her room, being used to her room. I was also very thankfully contacted by this company, Dreamland Baby Co., and they make weighted sleep sacks. So I had not heard of this. I felt like once she came out of the swaddle, there was nothing else I could really do. I did have one sleep sack for her, but I never had heard of the concept of a weighted sleep sack. Reading about this and seeing this product, I got super excited because I was like, maybe, just maybe it'll give her the comfort and the feeling of being close or being hugged and help her sleep better, you know, because really it was the comfort that she desired. She wanted the closeness, the comfort, the warmth, all that, right? So this sleep sack has actually been a godsend. We have traveled, we've stayed with my best friend, went down to her house. They have an extra crib, and so I put Aaliyah down in that crib during this process of trying to get her transitioned, you know, and she slept the whole night in a new place. She slept the whole night in her crib. The first night she woke up a couple times, but the next night she was knocked out the whole night. And I was just like, wow. So yeah, I haven't traveled without it. I make sure it's on her every night. It's definitely part of what has helped make this whole journey successful. And I can say that fairly because we did do this for several days, several weeks, several tries before we had the sleep sack. So I did notice I did try to put her down initially without anything, and then I tried a regular sleep sack, and then when this weighted sleep sack came in, we gave it a try. And let me tell you the difference it made. It's weighted in a safe way, so all the weight is like on the front part of the sleep sack. So if they turn on their tummies, which my girl is like a tummy sleeper, then it's not restricting them so much, but it does kind of help her stay laying down. She can get up in it, but she's not as apt to because of the weight, you know? And so it helps her kind of stay in that sleeping position and like stay calm and down instead of like maybe jumping up and hanging off like the crib so she can be like, hey, come get me. I really just feel like the sleep sack makes her feel cuddled. It gives her her sleep cues, helps to keep her asleep longer. Like literally, I actually don't usually put it on her for naps because her nap is about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, but she sleeps well for her naps. And the couple times I've put it on during her nap, she sleeps about 3 hours or more. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, we don't need you to sleep that long, but it does help her get down to sleep like quicker when I put it on her for nap time. Because once again, it's like a cue for her that it's like that weight, that like feeling of like comfort over her. It just kind of like calms her, you know? So very thankful for the weighted sleep sack. I'm gonna show y'all that. I just honestly right now I can't rave about it enough because I truly believe that it's made a difference in my baby girl's sleep. I did a little like unboxing or unbagging of the sleep sack, if you will, so I'm going to show y'all that. Hey guys, so today I'm going to open up the Dream Weighted Sleep Sack and just do a little first impressions really. So this is from Dreamland Baby and I'm so excited that they sent me this. I'm really hoping that it makes a difference in sleep. Okay, so I love it's nice and heavy. All the beads and heaviness is in the front so that when baby is safely laying on their back, this is weighing them down and hopefully giving them some comfort feel. And then if they turn over, then it's not like impeding them. I love that there's like separate little pockets of these beads, so you're never gonna have like all the beads on one side, you know? It's gonna be evenly distributed. It's really soft and so cute. So here is the sleep sack. I'm really hoping that this makes a difference in baby girl's sleep because I'm tired. Last night I woke up 3 times. She usually wakes up at least once around noon or midnight, and then she woke up again around 4:30 a.m. And yeah, I'm tired. So this sleep sack, I'm reading the little insert. It has evenly distributed weight from shoulders to toes, 2-way zipper for easy diaper changes. I like that. Machine washable. Big thing since I want to wash it before we use it. 0.6 TOG designed for year-round use. 100% premium cotton and ample room for kicking and healthy hip development. It says that it's great for all weather, so I'm hoping it won't be too hot because my girl does run warm, and so I will, when she's in her bed, I'll put on a onesie and then I'll just put on a sleep sack. So yeah, this is size 12 to 24 months because my girl is 15 months. Its weight limit or size is 20 to 28 pounds, and this is a size large. So this is their large. I do believe that they have a neck size up, which is nice. And yeah, I can just, this is like, I'm so excited for her to use this. She's been, it's been interesting. I'm sure future me or past me or whatever will fill you in, but it's been a journey to get her transitioned into her own bed, and I'm just really excited and thankful that Dreamland Baby sent me this. It was just in time, and I'm so happy to be trying this out. I'm really praying that it gives me like 9 consecutive hours of sleep, because as of now, we're still nursing in the middle of the night. I'm just hoping that I have one of these like wonderful stories to share with you at the end of this, because yeah, she's doing well with sleeping in her crib for like periods of time. Usually it's okay. At least the first initial thing is like good, where I can like get her to sleep and she's knocked out, and then I can put her down in her crib. But like there's sometimes like even with nap time where I'll like put her down in her crib and she'll kind of wake up, and then it'll just start this like thing all over again where she's like kind of wired, kind of up. So I'm just hoping that this helps. Yeah. And just some information I wanted to read from the back. So they have this little safety information piece on here, and it says BPA-free inner beads, designed in partnership with pediatricians, neonatal intensive care unit nurses, and certified sleep consultants. It's also reviewed by pulmonologists. So that makes me feel a lot better that all these other people had insight into this product and tested it and reviewed it and all that good stuff. It passed all safety testing and additional non-required testing. So yay! Just wanted to give you some of those tidbits, but I'm super excited to try this out. We're gonna work on getting this washed and ready for her ASAP, because I need to not be waking up 3-4 times in the middle of the night. Okay, back to future me and
where we're at in this saga.
And I just felt very comfortable putting this on my baby for her sleeping. I took detailed notes on my phone actually of like when she woke up, what the hours she woke up looked like, how long she was up, how long it took to get her down at night. And I took all these notes so I had just, you know, I could let myself know and really see if this sleep sack made a difference and what her sleep was looking like over time. So the dream weighted sack, like, yeah. So we went to waking up to mainly 3 times a night to waking up 1 time or 2 times a night. There also has been the fact that she's been teething and getting her like molars. She always gets like several teeth at once. The teething has presented a little bit of a newness to this. So the teething, when she was teething, that's when she would wake up more like 2 times a night. But it was really noticeable how many times she was waking up, how long she'd be up, and really, you know, I'd be able to go in, feed her, and get her down pretty quick. And then I would wait until she was a little more settled and try to put her down. Some of the time I did go into not fully crying out. I would say it was like a little bit of the Ferber method where I would put her down sometimes if like she had been on the boob for a very long time and I'm like, okay, you're playing around now, let's put you down because I know you're tired. Sometimes she would just like whine a little bit and then she'd like go down and sleep by herself. And I feel like this helped her really understand like, okay, I can go to sleep by myself. I don't need a boob in my mouth directly to get to sleep. And sometimes she would cry. Sometimes she would just like wail. And, you know, I had the baby monitor on. I was able to check on her. She was safe. But the difference between being able to put her down and do that with the weighted sleep sack instead of, you know, I noticed that she was standing up on the crib's edge when she didn't have the weighted sleep sack. So the weighted sleep sack helped her to just like stay laying down, kind of comfort her a little bit more. I would go back in after a couple minutes if she was crying and, you know, give her more boob or rub her back, right? I didn't do it exactly like the Ferber method. I did what I was comfortable with. And I think that's why she's still waking up. She's still waking up about once a night and wanting boob. But if my partner, if it's a weekend and he doesn't have work in the morning, he's able to also go in and kind of rock her back to sleep. And she's pretty good. Like he can lay her back down and she'll stay asleep. So she's kind of breaking out of the, you know, nighttime feeds that she's been used to for so long, right? She's been used to me feeding her at night. It's not like, you know, I stopped breastfeeding at 6 months, like we're still breastfeeding. So she was just used to that comfort, and breaking out of that has not only been a gift to me and more peace for me. Like, yes, I'm waking up these days a little bit more because I literally have to wake up out of bed, go to her room and get her. But I can see a light at the end of the tunnel now. So I think that's the blessing here, is that this is getting better and better. And so, like I said, or maybe I didn't, but we went from, you know, waking up 2 to 3 times a night when she was in her own crib, because it was probably maybe more times when she was in our bed. It stopped being comfortable for me, you know, to just breastfeed her at night, because she was just like destroying me at night. Like, and you know, she's kicking us, and it just stopped being a comfortable sleep situation for everybody. She was waking up if we had the TV on, or just like if I was up later and later on my phone and she was waking up because of me, and it just wasn't a good situation anymore. So she has gone from, with just a sleep sack, like a regular sleep sack, she's gone from waking up 2 to 3 times a night, more likely 3, to waking up 1 to 2 times a night. And sometimes she's even slept through the night. So those are amazing. Like, it's been great. The nights that she slept through the night, like when we went to visit my best friend and she slept through the night a couple times here recently, it gives me hope that in the near future, we're going to get to a place where there's more times that she's sleeping through the night. I'm going to go through some tips that I have for you about getting your baby to sleep in their own crib. Like I said, like there was some crying involved. It wasn't like all peaches and cream. It wasn't the perfect situation. My girl really does like to cuddle and to sleep with somebody and to, you know, move until she hits somebody in bed. This was maybe not the perfect YouTube scenario, but this is how it's worked for us and going for us. My first tip is going to be to test out what sleep windows work for your child. If you're still feeding them to sleep, or if you're trying to lessen the amount of crying that they do because you don't want them to cry, right? Then if you're doing like we did for the first like very long time, where you're making sure that they're asleep before you put them down in their crib, then you want them to be very tired and knocked out, because otherwise it's going to just tire you out to have this bedtime routine, and it takes 2 hours to get them to actual sleep because they're still hyped up. Test out what hours they need. So now we've been able to slowly move it up. When I first tried, when we got back from New Orleans, I was trying to put her down, I think, too early. Like, we were trying to transition to this 8:30 bedtime, and it just like did not work. When she started sleeping in her crib for the full night, when we started this about a month or so ago, I started like putting her back into her bed when she woke up, right, in the middle of the night. And so she was pretty consistently waking up in the morning around 7 a.m. And what this did was this shifted her bedtime to be able to be earlier, because I started noticing her cues for bedtime a little bit earlier at night. So then when she started waking up at 7, when she used to wake up at 9 a.m., I noticed like, okay, she's ready to go down to sleep a little bit earlier. And that's when we started moving it up to like 9. And now we're at a place where we really start bedtime, because most bedtimes like include bath time. So we'll start bedtime around 7:30. She'll get in the bath. She might have a short or a long bath, but then by hopefully about 8:20, 8:30, she's in position. Like, I am rocking her. We've read our books, we've read our stories, and I'm rocking her to sleep. And I'm turning off all the lights, and we're getting into that place. So she might only be to bed still at 9, but we're not starting the whole show at 9 p.m. Okay, it's just a big difference in terms of, like I said, her sleep cues, and really getting her into that place of being okay with sleeping a little bit earlier. It also means nowadays that generally, unless she's teething or something like that, which then I might do some Motrin, but you know, she's getting to sleep, I would say, within about half an hour. And that is one of the things I tracked when I was like taking notes for myself, because I wanted to see like, am I taking an hour and a half to put her down, or is she going down in 20 minutes? Is she going down in half an hour? And when I am very aware of her sleep cues, and the earlier we kind of start bedtime, it's like she's not fighting as much against us because she's overly tired. And it's not like we're starting the process way before she gets tired. It's like right in the sweet spot. So I would really kind of test out, like, if you don't have a set time for your child to go to bed, I would really start implementing that and test out and see what is the time when it's like, it's not going to take me an hour and a half to get her down to bed, because it really shouldn't, right? Or, well, I would hope ideally it doesn't take you an hour and a half to get to sleep if you're like ready to go. So my second tip is to develop a sleep routine, okay? And when I say a sleep routine, I mean wake up time, I mean nap time, I mean going to bed time. When I say the wake time, making sure that you're waking around the same time in the morning, and that's pretty consistent, because that wake time is generally going to affect your nap time. We would kind of vary with our nap times. We weren't really on a schedule before she was 1 year old. I kind of let it go like baby led, and that was great for us before she was 1. But when it came to like sleeping, we need to get on our schedule because toddlers love routine. So nap time now is between 12:30 and 1 p.m. It's still kind of like flexible, but even with it being somewhat flexible, it doesn't affect her nighttime. Now, if she goes to bed at like 2 p.m., right? If like we've been on the road or something like that, and then it can shift what time she goes to bed. And so I would just, like I said, pay attention to the sleep cues, pay attention to the times that you're putting them to bed, because it really all kind of goes into the grand picture of like, you need a certain amount of hours from waking up from their nap to going to sleep at night, you know? So making sure that they're kind of on a set time helps that routine so much. Develop something that you do habitually. So our routine goes, we'll do bath time, and then dad will oil her up, get her a diaper and a onesie. We'll do that in our room. And then we bring her into the crib, and she stands in the crib, and I turn on the sound machine. Dad will start a story, and I'll get her, if she needs Tylenol for the night because she's been fussy and teething, I'll give her that. And then I'll go and I'll brush her teeth while she's standing in her crib. Dad will continue reading the story. We do 2 stories. Sometimes it's 3. Usually it's 2 stories. And then after she's done her story, or in the middle of the second story, I put on the dream weighted sack, and then I will have her stand with it like open. She'll just kind of stand and listen to the story, and dad will give her a kiss goodnight, and then I'll usually have him like get up. I'll sit in the chair, he'll pass her to me from the crib, and then I'll go ahead and zip her up and give her boob. She has another little projector in her room, so I can tell Alexa to turn off the light in her room, and I can turn on the projector with a remote. I might add another song. Slowly I'll turn off the projector light. The room is pitch dark, and we have both the sound happening from Alexa and from our projector. We just go until she's asleep, or until maybe if it's taking like 45 minutes to 50 minutes, I might decide, okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and like try it out and put you down in your crib and let you get to sleep by yourself. But that is the routine now. And we've gotten to a place where she will be very open to it. She might fuss if she's like left in the crib for a second too long before I come back with the toothbrush, if dad's not there reading her a story right away. But she knows, okay, it's bedtime, you know? And then when I put her down in the crib, if she's not fully asleep, or if she is like kind of asleep, but then I put her down and she wakes up a little bit, what I'll usually get is she'll kind of like, and then she'll turn over and she'll go straight to sleep. So then I'll leave the room. Usually that involves chasing Huey out because he likes to put his sister down to sleep as well. And then we will leave the room. The monitor's all set to go, and she's down. That is our sleep routine, and it is working very well for us. Make sure that I get her teeth brushed. Make sure she gets her medicine if she needs. She gets daddy-daughter time with her stories. That's the routine that we have set, and that's the routine that I actually implemented during the time when we switched when it wasn't working in the crib and switched her back into the bed. That's the sleep routine that we kind of got into because it helped to like set the mood for bedtime. My third tip would be get a weighted sleep sack. Okay, like I am so thankful for the Dreamland Baby Co. sleep sack. It has worked wonders. I do notice that she gets down to sleep quicker. I think that some of that has been the routine and having this process, making sure I'm putting her to sleep at the right time of night. But even when we started this routine and switched her from the bed from a regular sleep sack, I noticed that it really does get her to fall asleep quicker. It definitely helps her sleep longer. So the stretches, so the first night I put it on her, oh my gosh, instead of waking up like clockwork at 12 to 1 a.m., she woke up at like 3:30, 4 a.m., which clearly if we're going from let's say 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., that is a nice long stretch of time, okay? And so it really lowered the amount of times she would wake up in a night, because then the next time she would wake up might be 6:45 or 7. Sometimes she was sleeping until 8 a.m. And so I do, even though I said like keep a set time on the waking time, like if she sleeps until 8 a.m., I will let her, because we're trying to train her back into sleeping a 12-hour night. I am a much better mom if I get a little bit more sleep in the morning. Definitely recommend the Dream Weighted Sack. If she outgrows this, let me tell you, I'm going to get a second one. I think if you're having struggles with keeping your child asleep, or if you don't feel comfortable, for example, with the cry it out method, this is a great tool to have under your belt, because just the fact that it helps get them to sleep quicker means those middle of the night wakes when you are ready to get back to bed, right? You're waking up out of sleep to go grab them, and then you don't want to just put them down because they'll cry again. You're gonna you're gonna get them out of bed, you're gonna feed them or do whatever, rock them back. But it helps that process. It helps them to kind of know, no, we're still in sleep mode. It's not wake up and play time. So I would highly suggest, if you are not into the cry it out method, if you are even, because it definitely, like, just once again, you put them down in the crib and it kind of like soothes them. I'm definitely a believer in the benefits of having the dream weighted sack. So, you know. My fourth tip is to turn off all the lights. Okay, so this is maybe this is just me. I put on the projector for her that we have, and it like has like the starry night and like kind of aurora borealis kind of vibes. I turned that on, and then in the first like week and a half, I left it on thinking, okay, she has a little night light, she'll be okay. But what it really did was keep her up. When she woke up and saw that, it was stimulating to her, and I think it was too much light. And so it distracted her. It wasn't like a cool dark room that she's like, oh, we're still sleeping, cool. You know, it's like if she opened her eyes just a little, it was like a show was going on. So I probably should have known this, because it would sometimes even keep her up because she's so intrigued with all the lights and like it looks so pretty. What I started doing was tweaking the routine a little bit slowly until it became what it is now. So I was keeping it on until she fell asleep, and then I'd put her down in her crib, and then I'd turn it off before I left the room. But like I said, started noticing it would keep her up sometimes. So it would elongate the going to sleep process. So I started like putting it on for a little bit, and I started turning off the lights a little before she even fell asleep, because it just stopped the extra noise. I definitely suggest turn off all the lights, even any projectors you have, make sure they're on a timer if you can, but turn them off so that it doesn't end up distracting them in the long run. My fifth tip is actually kind of similar. Tweak things and see what works for your child, what doesn't. So a lot of things shifted from me starting this process with her in her own bed to what it is now. I've changed the music. I realized that she likes both, you know, the rain sound and the music that's like playing softly in the background. The music will cut off because of the projector it's on. The music cuts off after a certain time, and then she just has the rain sounds. But it's like it helped her get to sleep so much more quickly to have a little bit of soft music in the background. Initially, I was using the Disney piano playlist on that Alexa has. I was just like, play Disney piano, and it's a bunch of beautiful Disney songs that everybody knows, and it's just the instrumental versions of it. So that worked well for a period of time. But what was happening is, because we don't have a special subscription or whatever, it would cut off after an 8-hour period, and then the room would be silent. And I think that also might have been waking her up, to not have a consistent, like, you know, low hum of something. The Sleep Sounds app actually will continue on. And so I started just putting that on, and noticed she would sleep a lot better. It wouldn't be that she was waking up and I was coming in there and it was like, you can hear a pin drop quiet. So play around with what sounds your child likes, play around with the times that you're going down, play around with, you know, the weights. If she's doing like, I mean, I think I started with a blanket, and then I went to the sleep sack, and then I went to the weighted sleep sack. And that was like yes, this works. Okay. So you just want to play around with what helps your child like get into the groove best. Even stuff like Motrin, if it comes to teething, it's like, make sure you're listening and looking for their cues and how they're acting. And that's going to tell you, do I need to give them a little something tonight to help soothe them? The temperature in the room might be another something that you tweak. If you're able to set the temperature lower, if you have somebody that runs hot, we had to adjust to a little bit of a lower temperature. I notice Aaliyah wakes up a little bit more, or is more apt to wake up if the house is warmer. And then I'm going to her and she might be like, not sweaty and hot, but it's like I can feel the difference in her body temperature, you know? And so especially adding that extra layer of the sleep sack, whether it was weighted or before when it was not weighted, it's like I want to make sure that she's at a good temperature and stays that way during the night. Tweak things, see what works, even though it feels like I just want to know exactly what I need right now. Trial and error is really your friend here. And my number 6 tip is, all of y'all might not want to hear this, but if all else fails, a little cry it out, a little Ferber method might just be what gets you through. So if you're like me, you might have been adamant about not wanting to do a crying out method. You might not have wanted to do that at all. I'm not bad talking anybody that uses cry it out or Ferber. Like, we ended up doing a mix of both. And I felt like it was a little easier for me because she was over a year old at that point. She wasn't like 6 months and we were doing that. She wasn't 5 months. Now, when you get over a year old, it also becomes a little more difficult because they don't, I think they don't take to that method quite the same, or it's not as easy to like train them in that way. But, you know, I realized that doing it a little bit helped us tremendously, helped me and my sanity tremendously, because it helped Aaliyah learn, okay, I can get to sleep right now. Like, I'm gonna cry a little bit, but I'm gonna turn over. And I think she still knows that if she wails and if she cries and it's a certain caliber of cry, I'm still gonna go in there, you know, which might be the reason that she still wakes up every now and then. But she knows that I'm there. She knows we're there. So she doesn't feel abandoned, but she definitely will like turn over and roll and go to sleep by herself now if she's tired enough, which that was not happening when we first started this sleep journey. Okay, like she wasn't just putting herself to sleep. And I think that by doing that here and there, by saying like, okay, it's been an hour of you eating, like this isn't working, and then me being able to put her down, I think I gained more trust in her to be able to put herself down, and I was able to give her some credit into being able to soothe herself. And also I feel like I said, I feel like she knows that if she really needs me, if it's like an emergency, I'm there. So I don't know, maybe it's just like my mommy heart that I'm like making this a balance or something, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I think that for a lot of us, having better sleep for us and our baby is gonna make things that much better when it's wake time, you know, whether that's like you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a work-from-home mom. Like if they're well-rested, if we're well-rested, it just, it gives better results in general. If you're like at wit's end, give it a try, see if it works, because you might be able to tolerate it a little bit better than you think. And it might be something that your baby needs a little bit more than you think, because in the meantime, they're just keep on waking up because they want the comfort. But really what they need is the sleep. Like I said, I know that there's a ton of opinions on baby sleep and the methods you use, but I think that if you have not given it a shot, try it out. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. Throw it out. You never know until you try something. So if all else is failing and you're not getting them down to sleep, it's really wearing on you, you might want to give, you know, either the Ferber method or cry it out just a shot for a couple minutes at a time and see how it goes. I think that some of this was just cathartic for me to share our sleep story and journey with you, but I do hope that this gives you some insight that you're not alone, okay? On whatever sleep journey you're going through, you're not alone. Like, you're not a bad mom because you're trying this all of a sudden, even though you said you would never, or because you can't get them to sleep immediately because your child isn't a good sleeper. Like, baby sleep is so rough. And I feel like I said, it's trial and error. Make sure you're giving yourself grace through the process. Make sure you're giving yourself as many tools as possible to help you succeed in getting your child to sleep well, and make sure that you're, getting the support you need. I think one of the most difficult things is like, people are like, do what works for you. And it wasn't that having Aaliyah sleep with me was necessarily working for me anymore, but it's like I didn't have all of the resources I needed to like shift her into a different situation, So sometimes you're just doing what you can, and that's all you can do. And you got to give yourself props for that. Give yourself grace for whatever it is that you're needing to do to take care of everyone in the situation. But I do hope this helps. I want to thank Dreamland Baby for sending me the sleep sack, because I really feel like it's made a world of difference. I am so grateful that we've had this product to test out and that I'm able to share it with you. Please know, I will only share things on my channel that I truly believe in, that we truly use, and things that I feel like are going to help y'all out, because I'm not just gonna share anything. I turn down stuff all the time. This company, I'm feeling blessed and thankful that they reached out to me about this weighted sleep sack, because truly it wouldn't have been something I even thought of like, oh, they make this is something that can help babies sleep. I kind of wanted to figure out what can I use that's like a swaddle but is safe, and this is it. So I will leave my code down below for y'all. You get a percentage off, and I just hope that y'all are getting some rest and that your babies are getting rest. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up for me. It very much helps my channel, and make sure you are subscribed, join the family, and I will see you next time. Bye guys. Hey, let's go.
Hey guys, so I am back in my room. Sans baby, she is in her crib, which is always a little weird these days, and I have her on the monitor. She went down really easy tonight. She went down from sleep sack on to boob in her mouth and then to her being knocked out. It was only about 15 minutes, which is great for her knocking out. I can spend, it might be 20 minutes, it might be 25 minutes, or it might be an hour that I spend trying to get her to sleep, because I don't like to put her in the crib before she is knocked out if I can help it. So that was excellent. I'm hoping that that's a recurring thing. She was a little fussy because we did a little bit later of a bedtime tonight, just stuff happening. So she went down a little later than she's used to, but I am trying to stick to a schedule more or less these days. So far, so great. I was able to put her down, knocked out, so I'll let her fall asleep, and then I'll spend maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes with her just in my lap asleep before I try to, and pull my nipple out of her mouth, and I'll let her kind of settle back down and fall into that deep sleep before I try to move her. And so that worked tonight. So I spent about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then I put her down in her crib. So it was a pretty short bedtime routine from brushing her teeth to getting her in a crib. I'm really hoping that I don't have to wake up 3 times tonight. I'm hoping that she stays asleep. Really praying that this sleep sack can help me out with that and keep her kind of knocked out. She seemed very comfortable in it. And yeah, so I will report back soon. Hopefully not too soon.